As you guys may or may not know, this movie came out on Netflix called Cuties, and it actually uses 11-year-old girls and sexualizes them in dances called twerking, but actually, they're just like dancing full out in all kind of different ways, and I've seen the scene, or a few of them, and I found it really hard to watch, and the point is, even if you have good intentions behind this movie, and you're trying to prove a point, you're still actually using children in this way, which is terrible. So using children in real life in this way is worse than it is good to prove the point. That's the bottom line. Now, the director of this movie says, to some extent, this is based on a true story. She says she went to the park and she saw girls underage dancing like this. And she was like, this is wrong. I gotta make a movie that shows girls shouldn't do this. So, as far as her intentions, I don't know. I guess she tried to have good intentions, but in the process, she really effed up and ended up doing something really distasteful and horrible. So now comes along petitions. And as you guys know, petitions, well, they don't work so well. You know, we have remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. Didn't do anything, won't do anything as far as actually removing her. We have the Game of Thrones one, reshoot season 8. Obviously it didn't do anything to get that reshot. HBO answered. You get a little attention here and there. So this one is a little different. What this petition does, it's not, saying change cuties. It's not the get rid of cuties. What it's saying is cancel Netflix subscriptions. So it actually does something. When you sign this, you're reminded that if you find this movie distasteful, which a ton of people do, to cancel your subscription. And they've got over 600,000 signatures in, I think, about a month. Down here, this last comment was from 1 month ago, and I don't see anything older than that. So, that's pretty damn good. Considering Amber Heard's was up there for, I don't know, quite a few months now, guys. It might be 6, 7, 8, I don't know, maybe longer. It's been up there for quite a while. It hasn't hit 500,000 yet. This is pretty fast moving. So, the person who wrote it says, as I have been researching content that exploits children and creates a disturbing vibe, I have found many shows and movies on Netflix to have similar inappropriate behaviors as Cuties, the movie this petition was originally based off. As Netflix has chosen to ignore the petition and the wishes of its customers, I feel we need to band together and cancel our subscriptions. Please sign and share. From Cuties to Big Mouth to other movies mocking religions and exploiting children, Netflix is no longer the family-friendly streaming service I once believed it to be. And, Netflix doesn't have to be a family-friendly streaming service to not have such creepy, distasteful movies. They're allowed to have R-rated movies. Movies about religion. I wouldn't say like flat-out distasteful attacks on religion, but they're allowed to have adult-type content. They could even have X movies. Who cares? After all, it's Netflix, it's Flix, it's everything. But what they can't do and shouldn't do is have movies that verge on things pretty much illegal. Like, to be fair, there wasn't actual sexual acts, but it was like this close. I can't show the scene on this channel. Some people showed it. Some people made reaction videos. But I gotta say, I wouldn't even want that imagery to be played on this channel. I thought about playing it in a cartoon version with a filter, where it's just like, a black and white ink version. But even that, you still see these little girls do things they should not be doing on film. And there's some really, really what I would consider pretty sick parts where the adults are watching them. So you have I think it's at the end, I think it's some kind of a contest. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen the movie, just clips. It looked like some kind of contest. Like 4 adults sitting judging the dance. And one of the guys was really into it. Not like like, oh, good moves, girls. He was like creepily into it. So, even if you're trying to prove the point that these creepy guys are out there, you're not really saying like, get rid of them, put them in jail, these guys are shit. You're saying, well, look at this creep, look at these girls. That's the end of the movie. Okay. It's just like showing it flat out without actually being literally against it. Now, I didn't see the movie, so I can't say there aren't stronger messages literally against it, but from what I've heard and from reviews I've seen from people who saw the movie, it just seems like there's some really distasteful things, and it seems like worse than people imagined. So, for the most part, the backlash is very deserved. And as we know, since Netflix did not release a statement, well, that makes it pretty bad. I mean, you want to have a statement released. You want to at least have some explanation. Now they said something about the poster, but, the poster was just kind of like the icing on the cake. We wanted the explanation for the content itself. Same thing with me and Stephen King. If you guys are following the Amber Heard controversy, as you know, Amber Heard is in the stand, and Stephen King is a producer. And, we can't blame King. There are other people involved down the line, producers, things like that. But King's silent. And that's the silence I don't like. So if he just said any statement, anything at all, acknowledged it, we'd be much better. To be fair, the court case isn't over, but let's get real. There's been mountains of evidence coming out over the last, 2 years, something like that. So anyone can see she was pretty much in the wrong. Getting back to Netflix, same thing. It's pretty easy to see that this woman, the director, and the people that released this movie, anyone involved in putting it out there, did something pretty distasteful. Not to mention there was an audition with hundreds of underage girls. So what happened at those auditions? They weren't auditioning like the dialogue so much. They must have been auditioning for dancers. And I could only imagine, well, that was probably pretty inappropriate too, I should say. People ask, what about the parents? What about the parents? I mean, look, I guess some of them needed the money, or they didn't exactly know what they were getting into, and maybe some of them did leave and say, we don't want our daughters doing this. I don't know, but that's a separate issue. The main issue is Netflix put this out to the public, and they just seem to be all cool with it. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think down below. Doing shoutouts, special thanks, things like that. Consider subscribing here, doing Depth First Heard, pop culture, whatever comes up in the news. This video, a little bit of a serious tone. I try to keep it more like fun and upbeat, but this just is not fun and upbeat. This is something that should be at least signed. I don't have Netflix. I don't need it. Not really. If you have Netflix, I'd consider canceling. What's the point? Read a book. Go jogging. Do something else instead of watching Netflix. Hell, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. They're free. If you subscribe, you get videos. Stuff like that. If you don't subscribe, I'll be pretty sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.